Good evening and welcome to the coffee table. This is a season for us to have conversations with some high-achieving, strong, empowered women. Dr. Sarah is an aerospace scientist. She has a PhD from Cranfield, which is one of the best schools in terms of aviation and aerospace. So, Dr. Sarah, welcome to the coffee table.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Sounds so wonderful. Aero engineering.
Aerospace
Aero
engineering.
Okay, see, you have to tell, you have to start, and please explain to me what it is. It just sounds so amazing. My science was horrible when I was growing up, and so I've always been fascinated with people who understand science and who create things.
Okay, so I'm an aerospace engineer, which means that we can design aircrafts and aircraft engines, and I did I have a background in mechanical engineering as an undergrad from Pakistan, and then I did my master's in aerospace dynamics, which is like the working around the control surfaces of the aeroplane itself, as in when you are
Which means the wings, which means the
right,
what do they call the ailerons?
Ailerons, rudders.
Right.
So
It's all rocket
yes,
science to us.
Yes. So
Not to you, but to me.
So we normally
It's
introduce Dr.
airplane
Sarah as our
science.
rocket girl.
No, say she is.
yes.
Yeah,
So
so, yeah.
that's what I did for my master's, and then in my PhD, I specialized in aerospace propulsion, which is working on aircraft engines, which are commonly known as jet engines.
Yeah. Commonly known as jet engines. Huh?
The video that I watched of you,
Right.
and maybe this is something that we should talk about later in the show, but you
The
actually
Karandas video?
you're working with things that are
Right.
in space, the clouds,
Yes.
the emissions, and how the water freezes to a point that they become clouds, and they have a particular name. What is the name?
Contrails.
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 See, you know everything.
No. I've been around with an aerospace scientist for about a little over a year now. So,
Yes.
Dr. Sarah, all right. So, what took you to Cranfield to start with, and then why this particular area, jet propulsion, could be anything, but you've chosen to address climate change. You've chosen to suppress contrails. You've chosen to turn aircraft engine emissions into water. So, where does all that come from?
Okay, so starting with aeroplanes,
Yeah.
I think I had this, I'm sure I must have been fascinated, and we had this a very scientific and an engineering environment at home.
Yeah.
Because my father is a scientist, my mother is a chemistry professor.
Yeah.
So, even the dinner table discussions were very science-oriented. So I think that got
So tell
me
us about
interest-
one. You're 9 years old, right?
Right.
And what were you talking about? You were not talking about dolls, were you?
No.
No. You were talking about engines, you were talking about cars, we were talking, what is it?
Well,
that
I
you were
was-
How many
talking about?
siblings?
We are three. I'm the eldest, and I
All
have,
of you are interested in the same field?
Yes, my brother is an automotive engineer. He works on cars, and he's, I think, now aiming to design safer trucks and on structural crashworthiness and accidents. And my sister is working on computational biology and genetics.
Oh my God, this
So
is a
she's, I
family
think-
of high achievers.
Yes.
And all of you are working in this field in the sense that, this is not normal, like you're not a doctor, you're not a teacher, you're not...
Well, our mother teaches.
My
she-
mother is a
but
professor.
still, she's a chemistry teacher. I mean, they're not really, they're not talking about unscientific things. So the other thing that I remember from one of your interviews is that it's about global warming. You want to
Right.
do something about that.
Yeah.
So how did that come about?
Well, I think that came along the way because as starting from 9 years old,
Yeah.
we played with mechanos, which
Yeah.
were like small.
Yes, we-
So
You know,
mechanos
We
were,
played with-
were these little
we played with those
little
too.
sets that you could make things out of, right?
Right.
So you learn to put things together.
Together, yeah, and mechanical stuff like
Mechanical
making cranes and
Yeah.
pulleys and machines out of, and it had those small nuts
Hmm.
and bolts and all that. So that's where it started, and I think I must have been 10 when our mother taught us the first code in basic language.
Okay.
Because she was doing her PhD at that time, and she used to work.
So you learned to code when you were 10 years
Oh,
old.
God.
Well, I started.
Started.
Yeah, but I don't know, I took it up at that time, but yeah, so I was introduced to like, it used to be something, $, hello world or whatever,
Okay.
just the basics. So,
Dollar signs are good things to learn
yeah,
about. Very early.
they're very, yes, something that hasn't become redundant.
Yeah, that
So-
hasn't become redundant.
He will say something that would
Yeah,
be-
okay. Let me not interrupt you.
Okay, so yeah, moving on, I think just because of the environment at home and yeah, my mom doing her PhD and my father was a scientist and he had his own private setup at home. So we were kind of, I mean,
He still has that.
He still
How
has.
He still
was-
has that
how was
workshop,
the
and he's
re-
tinkering away.
How was the
Yes.
response of everybody else around you? The extended family or the uncles and the aunts and your friends at school? They couldn't have
I
been
think either
all
they
scientifically
find it
minded.
interesting or probably they're just used to it.
So, but did you have friends who were different than you, who played with dolls and who talked about normal, regular things? Or
I
did
had
you?
normal
Did all
friends.
your friends wanted to be rocket scientists or?
No, we had a mix of friends.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a mix of friends. So I think basically that's where it all started.
Right.
It's just the, you know, the.
Did you do any aero modeling when you were in your teens?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I didn't do aero modeling, but we used to get like, my father used to teach us
Right.
physics and my
Yeah.
mother used to teach us chemistry, O levels, A levels, all that. And then we used to have small science projects.
Right.
That's what we used to do.
Project. The Qureshi is working on science.
Yes, even for school at times. Like,
Did you ever blow up the garage or something?
No,
Set things on fire?
not as
None
yet.
of that?
Not as yet. So,
You work with your, again, the video that I saw, you work with your father.
yes.
It's so interesting that it's just that, is this how it is in reality too? I'm not saying the video is fake, but there's just the two of you. There are no assistants, there is nobody else.
No,
It's
now
just-
we have, because when they filmed the video, that was just the very beginning. And we didn't have a very formal setup at that time. The company wasn't even registered, so this was just before that. And now it's a different setup. So you're welcome to come and visit us.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be wonderful.
Let me again go back to those teens now.
Right.
So your dad, your father, he went to places. He worked on robotics, he worked on aerodynamics, he worked on internal combustion engines, you know. So all those things were happening, you were learning. Did you ever take apart an engine and put it
Yes,
together
I did.
again?
I think myself and my brother, we were, yeah, pretty young, but he made us overhaul a small engine, and I think since when I was maybe doing my A level, that time I was very focused. I mean, I had taken my decision what
Right.
I wanted to do, and that I would be an engineer and work on engines, because that was what my father was doing, and he used to do aero
Why
modeling.
engines? But just because your father was,
I don't know, but
what's,
why engines and
Yes,
why
why?
aeroplanes?
why the fascination with engines? Because they make a thing go, in my layman's language.
I don't know, maybe.
They are the power.
Could be. It was all like very related, like all the engineering and the science and the physics. Like in A levels, I used to like particle physics a lot.
Particle physics.
Yes.
God, you're
And since my mom was teaching quantum chemistry. It's all, quantum mechanics is very close to it.
Quantum
and,
chemistry.
What you just said, I'm imagining the conversations
Yes.
on their dining
Yeah.
table.
It's not about the picoras. It is about particle physics and quantum mechanics.
And you got married a few years ago. So
10 years.
10 years
He has a
ago.
lovely daughter, Ayat. Right?
I would love to meet her.
Who would always be playing around
Is she-
with us. We're going to take
is
a
she
break.
like you?
We're going to come back. She is one generation ahead, all right?
Yeah, she's ahead of me, way ahead
she's
of
ahead.
me.
She's really ahead. So we're going to take a short break, come back.
She watched your last program as
Yeah.
well, and she
Wow.
was watching it with a lot of interest.
Oh my
So
God.
we're going to take a short break. I'll tell you her comments on the program also. Take a short break, come back while we talk to Dr. Sarah Qureshi. There's a lot more that we're going to discuss with her. She's also a pilot and she does aerobatics. So take a break and come back to us. Welcome back. So Dr. Sarah, we were talking about, we talked about Ayat. And I said,
Yes.
I made the comment she is a generation ahead because I've seen her. Right? I've seen the kind of confidence she has. What, age 6 is it?
She's 7 now.
She's 7 now. So I've been seeing her for about almost a year and some months.
Yes.
Right. So I can see the genetic,
No, before
carrying
the
through.
daughter, who did you get married to? I mean, what's his profession?
My husband, he has a background in mechanical engineering,
Okay.
and then, but then he did his MBA, so he's more of a business executive.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the girl, the child, Ayat, is a
Ayat
mixture of
Ayat
both.
is
Is a
absolutely
mixture of both
wonderful.
of them.
Yeah, Ayat is wonderful. Ayat, she's
I
our.
had named my company as well because
Wow.
when I decided to register the company, I was discussing with my husband about the prospective names for the company, and she gave me a list of like very relevant names, around 10 of them. So
On her own.
on her own, and they all made sense. They were all
So, what did you choose?
Aero engine craft. So that's
so it came
that-
from her.
It came from her, yes.
She even signed your contract.
She signed
I'm
my
sorry, this is a very
contract.
scary family.
How is it scary?
They are so
Just
brilliant,
because they know
mashallah,
what they
all of them.
want.
Yes, no, not in that sense. For somebody like me,
Yeah.
who, when we were growing up, I grew up in a small city. I was in Sargodha, and at that point in time, I was living, me and my sister, we lived with our grandmother. So nobody told us what to do as far as our studies were concerned. It was, everything had to be done on our own. And so when I was in class 9th, we had to choose whether to go into science or arts. And anybody who was considered smart would take up science subjects, and I did the same thing. And I didn't know anything about physics, chemistry, maths, and biology, but somehow I studied them for 2 years and made a complete mess in my matriculation. So it's like, for somebody like me, I mean, these are things that make you the most amazing person in the world for me. The subjects that you know, and her daughter.
Yeah.
Her daughter is just
So where are we now?
fascinating.
So you have a patented design,
Yes.
right, which is an attachment for a
Right.
jetliner's engine.
Right.
That's going to turn its emissions in terms of water vapor, because the byproduct of combustion is water vapor.
Water vapor and carbon dioxide.
And carbon dioxide.
And of course nitrogen, but nitrogen comes from the air and
Yeah.
goes out.
Right.
It's like, nothing changes for nitrogen,
Yeah.
but it's there.
So it's almost neutral.
It's neutral.
It's neutral. So it's basically the water vapor and carbon dioxide.
True.
And what your design does is it turns those vapors into water, right?
Yes, into liquid water.
So it compresses them into water,
True.
right? Which means that there's no emission in the air, which means that this water vapor, which normally is seen as contrary, those white kind of trails behind a jet, right? That goes away. And that causes global warming, right? From what I understand.
One of the reasons.
Yeah.
Yes,
One,
it's-
one of the big reasons.
Yeah, especially at that altitude, because you're flying at 10,000 meters. So
You're at
because-
minus 40 or something,
Yes.
Yeah.
218 Kelvin.
to 18.
So you will be building engines, or are you already have you designed something or
We've designed it. Actually, this is
for
all
this market, for Pakistan?
No, there are only two aircraft engine manufacturers in the world, two or
okay.
three.
So there's Rolls-Royce, there's Pratt & Whitney,
and there's GE Aviation.
there's GE.
So it has to be with one of those.
So we are lucky we just have 3 customers
Yes.
to deal with.
Yeah. And one of those customers actually offered to buy your design.
They were interested, but you see, like it's where if you just offer your patent without the technology, there's a
They want the technology.
there's a chance that they might just shelf it because their goals are very different. You know, those companies are more profit oriented and they're not very focused towards environmental designs.
And your belief or your thinking is that the environment is going to become an increasingly important parameter.
It is already. I mean, you can see the world waking up to it. I mean, climate change is a big issue.
So engine manufacturers and airlines will have to trade off that extra little bit of cost.
Yes.
Right, because you're going to burn a little more fuel.
True.
Right, when you have a suppressor like that.
They are already trading off in the sense that with the A380, the fuel consumption is 2% more than the economy fuel consumption, just because they have to comply to noise regulations on ground because it's a very big
noise pollution means
aircraft.
I started watching one of the Oscar-nominated movies last night. It's called First Reformed. And Ethan Hawke, he's a pastor, and a woman comes to his church and she says, they know one another, and she wants him to talk to her husband. And the husband is an environmentalist, he's an activist. And now she tells the pastor that she's pregnant and the husband doesn't want her to have the child. So then until the point that I watched the movie, so he's having this conversation that look at what's happening to this world, how we are destroying the environment, it's going to be unlivable by 2050, and how do you want me to bring a child into this world? And of course there's this argument of choice and how can you decide whether the child should be born or not, but it is an issue. And what he was saying in that movie is that nobody is paying attention to people who are talking about climate change and who are talking about the very, very negative effects of global warming. Do you think that's true, or is the world waking up?
The world is waking up to it, but yes, I would say that there's a lot more that needs to be done, especially in terms of aviation-induced global warming, because we are more focused on the ground. But unfortunately, as Faisal Saab just mentioned, that contrails, although they look good when it's just like a smoke coming out of an aeroplane, but it's an artificial cloud, and they have a global warming potential which is 5 times more than carbon dioxide. So essentially,
not many people are aware of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's always...
Not many people even think about it.
Well, it's always been about CO2.
Yes.
Whereas like water vapor and carbon dioxide, they're both greenhouse gases, and they both contribute to global warming. But with, I think, water vapor, we have this soft corner. It's water. So
plus, from what I've been hearing from you, on the ground, you can suppress the emissions with trees, and you can plant green things.
There's an offset.
At 10,000 meters, you're not going to be able to plant anything.
There's no offset. Unfortunately, there's no offset. Right? So you have to eliminate the problem as it is. And at present, according to a report by IPCC, which is the International Panel on Climate Change, 0.2% of the Earth's surface is covered with these artificial clouds, which is a very alarming figure. And
so trees make a difference.
Trees make a difference on the ground level.
You can't grow trees there.
10,000 meters.
Of course.
You can't grow trees at 10,000 meters.
So they are trying to do something about it.
Yeah, because IPCC is predicting that by 2050, 0.5% of the Earth's atmosphere will be covered by artificial clouds. Because natural clouds
are in equilibrium. Which means it will trap heat more and more.
So,
yes.
So the man in that movie was right. He was so upset, and No, but when you listen to people like Donald Trump, he happens to be the most powerful man in the world right now. And the way he looks at climate change and the way he trivializes it. So countries like China and USA, they have to play a very important role to change the perception.
Yeah, and two of the engine manufacturers are actually US manufacturers, aren't they? The US
Yes,
companies, right? GE
they
and
are. Pratt and Whitney, yeah.
Whitney.
So their opinion matters, their influence, I mean, his
The other
influence
thing
matters.
is, you got to tell us how you chased down the air chief, right, to get access to camera.
Yes, that was interesting.
That was interesting.
Yes, because I like, you know, he just came with a lot of paraphernalia in a dashed in, dashed out, and I wasn't able to meet him, and I wanted, you know, support and some engines to work on. So then Faisal Saab encouraged me, just, you know, run after him. You know, it was
You're
that
the
simple.
one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he kind of escorted me to where he was. So by that time, my daughter was with me, and she wanted me to hold her, so she was in my lap. And then when I went in front of him, he thought that I am just this lady bringing in a child, ke bacche ne tasveer khichani hai. So, you know, so he's like, acha bete, kya haal hai, whatever. Then I stood for a while, he was talking to other people, and then again when I went there, he did the same. So then finally, like when he was going out, I had to like intercept him from the front, and I said,
I like the word intercept.
Intercept,
with an air
yes.
chief.
I'm Dr. Sarah Qureshi, and I have a PhD. मैंने aerospace engineering में PhD की है, and he's like, अच्छा आपने की है?
नहीं जी, मेरे पड़ोसी ने की.
आयत ने की है. So then, but yes, I said I need 2 engines from you because I'm working on this.
Just like
project.
that.
Yes,
I want
just
2
like
engines.
that.
I don't
I
want a
need to-
selfie, I want 2 engines.
Yes, that's all.
No,
So-
it's about just the way you're dressed up and stuff. We have these perceptions. Women who are engineers or pilots or rocket scientists, they look a certain way, and their heads can't be covered. And
Okay, you haven't seen
and then
me.
then what you said about holding your daughter. I think this is such a strong picture. This is the kind of not womanhood. I don't know what the word is, but this is amazing that you are doing everything that society expects you to do. You're a wife, you're a daughter, you're a mother, and obviously you're a very devoted mother since your daughter is with you
You
all
went
the
for
time.
your PhD after you got married.
Yes, I went after I got married, and then when my daughter was born, because my husband was working in Pakistan, he used to work for Total Paco, so he couldn't leave his job, and I couldn't, you know, be
Not
there on my
study.
own with the baby, and it made no sense because if I had to be at home all the time. So my supervisor was very supportive. I owe a lot to him. So he said
What's his name?
Professor Pericles Pilidis. He's the
That's a
Very-
difficult name to
he's
pronounce.
got a Greek origin.
It's a Greek origin. okay.
Yeah. So he was the head of the department
Right.
at Aerospace Propulsion at that time, and he said that it's better if you go back and work in your happy circumstances. So then I came back with my daughter. She was 3 weeks when I came back, and I took my master MPhil exam just a week before she was born.
So
How could you manage? You have a daughter. You're expecting your child, your first child,
and we're not
Right.
talking about normal,
and you're taking
easy to study
an
subjects.
MPhil exam, right? Which is
That is still okay because, you know, even when you are expecting, you are a single entity. You
Yeah.
just have to manage yourself. So that is still doable. But, you know, once you have the child, then that is very challenging. Everything that you can do in 10 minutes otherwise prolongs to 1 hour, you know. And now things have eased out because she's grown up and, you know, I can leave her
You
for a
have
while.
managed to challenge a lot of stereotypes.
yes. That's why we love her.
Seriously?
Because she makes us proud.
Somebody like you should be talking to students all over Pakistan, because there are. I do understand that. I'm not saying that you couldn't have achieved all of this if you had been born into another family, but I think your parents.
No, it makes
do-
a lot of difference.
Yes, I think they.
The family support.
And then even your husband.
Yes.
You, mashallah, happen to have very good, positive people.
I think it's because of the way she is herself, right? She knows exactly what she wants.
And then,
right?
and then they are there too, because in our society, we do live with a lot of people, with a number of people who have a lot of expectations of how you should be behaving. And no, I'm so happy to see somebody.
I guess it's, I mean, like everything else, it's always teamwork. And everybody has a role to play. I have been very fortunate.
It can't be a solitary fight.
In terms of like my own family support, and then my husband and my supervisor. But I would say that, I mean, you have to give credit even to somebody who cares for your child.
Absolutely.
Deserves the credit, because without that, you cannot do what you want to do. So it's always been, I mean, I was lucky to get a lot of support, even when I was at Cranfield and also back home. And
Okay, so we're going to take a short break and we're going to come back. There's a lot to talk to Dr. Sarah that we are going to talk right after the break. So we're going to dig a little deeper, the kind of person who does all these things. So take a short break and stay with us. Welcome back from the break. So we have Dr. Sarah Qureshi with us, high achieving engineer, aerospace scientist, a pilot who does aerobatics. Do you also cook?
yes,
You
I
do
cook every day.
You do cook every day. So
See,
what-
she's a Wonder Woman.
No, I want to
Now
get
I'm
this.
like, oh God.
No, hang on.
I cook for Ayat.
You cook for Ayat, right?
cook
So
for
what's your
What do you
favorite?
make?
I made dal today,
Dal.
but she likes stew
Okay.
and shepherd's pie.
Oh, she likes shepherd's pie. She was
Pie
she was
and
born in England, wasn't she?
Yes.
So, what do you do when you're not saving the world and interacting with your child? What do you like to do? Do you watch movies?
It's been a while that I haven't watched many movies, but I do watch movies that Ayat likes as well.
Right.
And the last one we watched together was The Motorcycle Girl.
The motorcycle.
Yes.
See, it's
that
not
one-
it's not
So
Cinderella.
is she going to be an engineer just like yourself?
She wants to be an astronaut.
Oh, she wants to be an
And,
astronaut. Yeah, I would imagine the next generation she wants to go to
and
the
something
stars.
else as well.
Yeah.
Something else too. So,
Yeah, so
I mean,
she would come into my room and I have this eagle that somebody, Khurram actually brought it back from Malaysia, which balances.
right,
Right?
the gravity one.
The
right.
gravity one. So she would come and play with it, and it was very interesting to watch her put it on different things and try to balance it off. So she wants to be an astronaut, right? Which is pretty normal, logical
For a
her.
7-year-old.
For a 7-year-old in 2019.
Yes.
Right. So she is going to go to the stars. I have no doubt about it. So what about? So you cook for Sameer also? You don't cook for Sameer?
For my husband?
Yeah.
Asim. My husband's Asim.
Okay. Why am I
Asim.
mixing it up with somebody? I
Okay.
just mix it up.
Yes, I do.
You do.
Yes, I do. Yeah. So we have a small family, so I
So
cook
is
for the
a
family.
bit of chemistry involved in that in terms of, because my understanding of food is it's all about chemistry. It's about the temperature at which you cook something, for how long you cook it.
Yeah.
You apply that.
Not really. I don't
It's
apply too
again,
much science to it, but
you see, it's again the stereotypes that the engineer is not going to cook.
No, I
Or-
didn't stereotype.
Or no, not
I
you.
fairly
no,
asked
no,
her
no,
that question,
Not
please,
you, not you at all.
Yeah.
We have to clear this once and for all. I mean society. I mean people. That she's saving the world. She's making engines, and she's also cooking. But you're cooking because you want to cook. It's
I-
not an expectation
no,
of your
it's
family.
not.
Yes.
Not really, but I
You like to cook.
I like to cook for my daughter and for myself also, because
What do you cook for yourself?
just the same food. I mean, you are conscious with the amount of oil you
Mirche
use,
kitni hai.
mirche, and if you want to eat light.
So, Doc, what do you think of Elon Musk?
Yeah, he's cool.
He's cool.
Just
right?
cool.
What about Richard Branson?
Well, I would like to reserve my comments
You
on
would
this
like-
show.
Yeah, but they all want to. All want us to become an interplanetary species.
They do. I guess Richard Branson, he's quite progressive,
Yeah.
but yeah,
they're-
but
they're
He's
not-
given people the first taste of going into space.
He
And you don't
has,
have to be an
yeah.
astronaut to do that, or
But
the whole
yes,
thing is changing.
he wasn't really an engineer.
No,
or-
he's not.
He's a businessman.
He's a guy with a lot of money.
He's a
Right?
businessman,
So
yes.
It takes a lot of
He's
money
the
to
man,
put rockets
he's
up
the man
in,
with ideas.
space. Yeah.
Elon Musk, on the other hand, he makes things.
He's not an engineer. No, Elon Musk is the same.
It's his, I mean,
He didn't-
his
it's
ideas.
it's more with the vision and the
vision.
ideas.
Yeah, and a lot of money.
And-
He has
and
the ability
money.
to raise a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right, and he's sending the first kind of, I think, attempt to colonize Mars, 2024. Right, he seems to be on target with that.
Seems very redundant to me.
Why does it seem redundant?
But
It's the
to
future.
me, I said me. There are certain things that they are just so out of the realm of my imagination. These things, these scientific things.
I met an aerospace scientist. Again, he was working with Boeing for 19 years, and I met him in a very interesting manner. He was introduced to me, and he was talking about hydroponics.
Asif Mufti.
Dr.
sahab.
Asif Mufti.
Yes, I've met him.
Right, so I said,
Wonderful
aerospace
person.
scientist, what are you doing with growing vegetables? And he said, well, I went to SpaceX, and there was this whole group sitting there, and they were working on how to grow food on Mars. Right, so they're very interesting dimensions.
He's gone back to space.
Yeah, he's gone back to space. I've been in touch with him.
All the space movies I've watched are very scary.
Oh, did you watch The Martian?
Gravity, Martian, then...
So, Martian was about
which
growing
one?
food on Mars.
Yes, which one was
Matt
that in
Damon.
which he, yes, Matt Damon.
Who's
and
perpetually getting rescued.
there's another one with Jennifer,
Jennifer who?
Jennifer, the big star.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence. See, that's the problem with my memory. Jennifer Lawrence, and they are in these capsules, and the guy wakes her up. And what I'm saying is, all the sci-fi movies that I watch end up in some kind of disaster, and that's
Yeah, I think you're talking about The Passengers.
yes.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Somebody remembers things.
No, I don't. I've got
You do.
help.
You do.
So, Dr. Sarah, tell us, right, what's next?
Next, okay, so now we are working, as we've just talked about Contrail, so
Yeah.
we are working on this Contrail-free aero engine. As we were just going down the story when while doing my PhD, this was given to me as a research question to mitigate contrails in a way, and a lot of people were looking at this at that time. So when I came back to Pakistan to work, just out of, I used to go to my parents' house because my sister used to help me with the babysit, and my father kind of started helping me just by chance because my supervisor was like in England. So he got involved and we started working together because I used to even earlier on work on a lot of projects with him. So then he came up with this invention that Faisal Saab has just mentioned, that that's a turbo machinery that can convert water vapor into liquid water, store it on the aircraft, and then bring it close. And then when you are like closer down in the atmosphere, closer to the earth, you can release it as rainfall.
Rainfall, yes.
So essentially, you can counter two major challenges. One is global warming,
Water
and the other is water scarcity.
So, water
you can-
harvesting, in a way.
Water harvesting, and you can grow a forest around Dubai, or release it around in dry
We
areas
need
in
water
Africa.
in Pakistan.
Yeah, we need water. We need water now too, and so that's what we are working on at
Are you
present.
still looking to raise those $1 million?
Yes.
Right? That's the conversation we had the first time I met Dr. Sarah. Right? She came and she said,
All I need is $1 million.
She said, all I need is $1 million.
Pakistan government should help her.
She's already raised at least $200,000 out of that.
So we've started at least.
And now she has a lot of interest from international funds because she has a patented design and that has value, right? So the reason why you didn't sell the patent to Rolls-Royce was because you didn't want them to shelve it.
Yes, we don't want it to be shelved. Rolls-Royce is also actively working on this in this area, and
Yeah.
they've been funding other patents. but obviously there's no guarantee that they would make it. And secondly, patent is a very legal document.
Yes.
So it doesn't, you can't really, it's not a recipe, as I would say, that you
True.
can make something. So especially with technology, you actually need to, prototype it and test it,
Yeah.
and validate the technology.
The 9 stages, huh? The 9
There are 9
stages.
stages according to NASA's technology readiness levels. It's like from 0 to anything that has to get airborne, fly in air commercially. That's the 9th stage. So 0 is just the concept, and then the design, and then the breadboard environment validation, and then the real environment validation. It keeps moving ahead. So at present, we are in between technology readiness level 4 and 5. We are prototyping a scaled down version of the engine that would be tested on ground, and then we would scale it up to the actual aircraft engine size, and then test it on ground, and then test it
So
on
what about
air.
regulations? What about FAA regulations, which says, well, jet engine or jetliner cannot...
Actually, unfortunately, I would say all regulations are focused on carbon dioxide.
Right.
We did a lot of research and survey with all these international bodies like ICAO, International Civil Aviation Authority, and International Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, as well as UNFCCC, United Nations Framework on Climate Change.
Yeah.
They say that yes, we recognize contrails, and we know they are bad. Whereas, I mean, for us, it's not news. There's a big scientific consensus that contrails are contributing to
That's why it is a
global
research
warming.
question.
Yes. So, but yes, but that's where it ends. That they're not passing any regulations or making any legislation. But one of the issues is that when you have to make a regulation or pass a legislation, there has to be a technology backup.
Yeah.
If, for example, they say no contrails from tomorrow, I mean, that's not a solution. Nobody can stop flying. Planes have to fly. So there has to be an alternate, or there has to be a backup technology that says that, yes, we have a solution to this problem. And if there's a regulation that makes if the aviation industry comply to these standards, we would be supporting that. So
how have people in Pakistan taken to this? You're a celebrity
I'm
now.
just thinking about your daughter, that you must be, when they give you an essay, write an essay on your hero or something. My mother is a rocket scientist.
Yes.
And her friends and their mothers, do you meet them?
I do, yeah.
But
because she feels more comfortable if I meet other
even
moms.
if they are doing things completely different from
but I do.
of course you can
that,
relate to them on a human level. And
and on a motherhood level.
Motherhood is a great topic.
Yes,
You can
it
talk
is,
about
it
it
is.
anywhere in the world.
True.
She carries a handbag, not a toolkit.
I know. I don't know. I'm very fascinated to see somebody like her being
So how
a
are you
mother
dealing
and-
with celebrity?
Well, I think this is my first TV show.
Is it?
I'm trying to get used to
But
it.
you've been interviewed quite a lot.
I've been in that
Pakistani
Karandas
televisions
video.
only invite politicians on their talk shows. You know that.
She's had a lot of people talking to her.
Politicians or supermodels or
Supermodels.
actresses.
Or Arab
That's what I say,
celebrities.
that these are the professions that have been glamorized for the young girls.
Yeah.
And that's where it
That's
ends.
what I said. You should be talking to, on a serious note, you should be talking to young people all over Pakistan. Not just females, both of them.
Yes.
Many children, many boys would want to do what you're doing. And they don't really get support from
presented
anyone.
At my daughter's school for the profession week.
Yeah.
And the children, I mean, they had a lot of questions. They
Of
listened with a
course.
lot of interest. And I had promised all her friends that my mom is a pilot, she will give you a ride in the plane. So whenever I go, they're like, when are we going to have that ride?
Other children promise candies, and her daughter has promised.
So when is the
to
last
plane
time
ride.
you've flown yourself?
I flew last year because, I flew when I was the year before last at Cranfield, just
Right.
before coming
Yeah.
back.
Cranfield is where they also have the aviation show, isn't it? Nearby.
No, that's Farnborough.
That's Farnborough.
Farnborough,
Yeah, I'm mixing
yeah.
up the two.
Yeah, they were both landing strips
Right.
in World War II,
Yeah.
and they had their hangars. So they used different.
Is Cranfield also in Kent?
No, that it's close to Milton Keynes.
It's close
It's
to
like
Milton Keynes. So it's
just
west of London.
countryside
Yeah.
next to Milton Keynes, 15 minutes away.
Right, right.
Uh,
And what kind of planes have you flown?
I learned my basic flying here in Lahore in a Cessna
the flying
152
club here?
at the Lahore Flying Club, and they also had a Cherokee Piper,
Right.
the 4-seater.
Yeah.
Because you don't really have a choice; you have to go by the
Of
planes
course.
they have.
Yeah.
You can't choose. And then when I went to England for my masters, they used to give like 2 flights to all students just to give them the feel of the aircraft, because that's what they're studying about planes and
Sure.
different modes of flying.
Yeah.
So just to make them experience that. But when I told the instructor that I already have a private pilot license, so he said, okay, what do you want to do? So I said, I want to spin the aircraft. He said, it's a bit intimidating. But then he taught me how to spin and how to recover from a spin, and then he taught me all the air acrobatics. So that was an amazing experience.
She has another, she's a Wonder Woman.
So loop the loop?
The
Oh,
loop,
God.
hammerhead,
Right.
barrel roll.
She wanted to spin the
Yeah.
plane, and she
And
Air
and
acrobatics.
also an inverted spin in a pits, because that's the only aircraft that
Gets
can
more
do
and
that.
more interesting.
Yeah.
You see,
So I've flown the pits and the Slingsby.
somebody
Right.
should write
And
on
then
her.
they had this bulldog,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is the
I
World
was
War
gonna
II
ask you about the bulldog.
acrobatic trainer. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
where I got my basic
That has an
acrobatic
open cockpit or something?
training. Not a glass cockpit.
Yeah, a glass cockpit. Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
That's
where
my
you
God.
fly with a parachute.
Hmm.
And I've attempted one tandem skydive as
Jesus,
well.
see,
Right.
see,
So-
Can
why-
you take our CEO up on one of these planes and do a few spins and some
Yes.
loops and some barrel rolls?
If we get hold of an low-wing acrobatic airplane here,
my head
We
is
can-
spinning.
We can do that, huh?
Listening to whatever she's saying.
It's amazing what Dr. Sarah has been up to, right? So
As I said, somebody should write on her.
yeah, yeah, we are going to write on her. So we've had a conversation with Dr. Sarah Qureshi, the rocket girl from Pakistan. She's doing some really interesting stuff in terms of designing for jetliners. She lives engineering. She also has a young daughter that she takes care of. She cooks some vicious dal too, right? So that's quite a rounded personality. Thank you for being with us today.